crocodiles lurking under bridges, skeletons in abandoned suitcases, and a possible Sasquatch wading through a river. These are disturbing things found under bridges. There's a bridge in Costa Rica that locals don't even bother calling by its official name anymore. Most people just call it Crocodile Bridge, and it's pretty obvious why. If you stop and look down, you'll see dozens of massive American crocodiles just lying there, stacked along the riverbanks and floating in the muddy water beneath the bridge. Some of these crocodiles are over 15 feet long. They gather here because the river is warm and full of fish. Over time, it turned into kind of a crocodile hangout spot, and now it's one of the largest known concentrations of wild crocs anywhere in the world. Tourists regularly pull over, lean against the railings, and stare straight down at these ancient animals that could easily kill them in seconds. Edna Collins Bridge in Indiana looks harmless during the day. It's small, narrow, surrounded by trees, the kind of place you'd drive over without really thinking much about it, but once it gets dark, it's said to change. This bridge has been part of Indiana ghost lore for decades, and the stories around it are strangely specific. The most well-known legend says that if you stop on the bridge at night and honk your horn 3 times, something responds. People claim to hear a child laughing, calling out, or crying from beneath the bridge. Others say they've seen dark human-shaped figures moving under it, just out of clear view. Now, many people who grew up nearby warn newcomers not to do this, not in a joking way either. Some say their cars have stalled right on the bridge. Others claim their headlights dimmed or shut off completely while they were stopped. A few people say they heard movement under the bridge while sitting there, wet footsteps in the dirt. One driver said when their car finally restarted, the radio turned on by itself, blasting static before cutting out again. In July 2024, police in Bristol, England responded to a call near the Clifton Suspension Bridge, one of the most recognizable landmarks in the city. There, they found 2 abandoned suitcases, and inside were human remains. The bridge was partially closed while police searched the surrounding area, combing through the nearby paths and river access points to figure out where the suitcases came from and how long they'd been there. Clifton Suspension Bridge is a busy spot. Tourists take photos there every day, and yet someone managed to transport and leave 2 suitcases containing human remains nearby without being noticed. Well, after a few days, they caught someone, because it turns out this person was a total idiot. Through several CCTV cameras, they were able to track a guy named Yostin Mosquera. He'd carried the suitcases from London. In his apartment, they found the rest of the 2 victims, the heads of Paul Longworth and Albert Alfonso. They were hidden in his freezer. See, 2 days earlier, Mosquera had booked a van, loaded the remains into suitcases, and carried them to the Clifton Suspension Bridge. Passers-by saw him struggling with the bags as a dark red liquid leaked out. He told them it was just oil. And when one person tried to film him, Mosquera tried to grab their phone. So everybody just saw this guy doing that, and he just left the suitcases there. My God. In 2025, police in Brunswick, Georgia made a grim discovery beneath the Sydney Lanier Bridge. During an investigation in the area, police located skeletal remains of 2 people underneath the bridge. Investigators believe the bodies had been under the bridge for months, possibly longer. The location itself made things complicated. The area beneath the bridge is difficult to access, with uneven terrain and low visibility from above. It's the kind of place where something can just sit a long time without being noticed, even near a major roadway. As for who they were, how they ended up there, whether their deaths were connected or separate incidents, they don't know. Just last month, a 14-year-old case was finally solved though. Back in February 2012, a maintenance worker was doing routine work under an overpass in Chicago when he noticed something off in the gravel and weeds below the highway. What he found turned out to be human remains, lying under one of the busiest roads in the city. There was no ID, no personal belongings, nothing that told police who this person was or how long they'd been there. For years, the remains were unidentified, listed as John Doe, with no missing person matches and no solid leads. According to police, there was no obvious sign of foul play, but that didn't explain how someone could die under a major interstate and remain nameless for over a decade. That finally changed in January of 2026. When investigators turned to forensic genealogy. Illinois State Police said ISB special agents continued to investigate the matter in collaboration with the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. and recently submitted a DNA sample from a possible relative for comparison purposes. That sample turned out to be the break they needed. On January 20th, it confirmed the remains belonged to 64-year-old Ronald M. Reicher. They couldn't determine exactly how he died, but at least they have an identity. In 1984, workers doing routine maintenance in the Paris sewer system near the Pont Neuf, the oldest standing bridge in the city, ran into an animal. And it wasn't one any of them were happy to see. Moving through the narrow tunnels beneath the bridge was a live Nile crocodile. It was about 31 inches long, crawling through the underground system below one of the most famous bridges in Europe. Paris isn't supposed to have crocodiles. The animal was eventually captured and taken to the zoo, but how in the hell did it get there in the first place? Investigators believe it was originally an illegal exotic pet, purchased when it was small, then dumped into the sewer system once it became too difficult or dangerous to keep. And that's where it lived and grew. The sewer tunnel stayed warm year-round, and the crocodile was able to survive for years underground. The Pont Neuf is constantly packed with pedestrians, traffic, and tourists taking photos. Boats pass underneath it every day, and yet beneath all of that movement, something completely out of place was living totally unnoticed. And speaking of things being unnoticed, beneath Las Vegas, underneath major bridges and roadways, there is a second city most tourists never think about. It's a network of storm drain tunnels, some large enough to stand up in, running under highways and bridges across the city. And for years, hundreds of people have lived down there. These tunnels were built to redirect flash flood water, but during dry months, they become shelter. People set up makeshift rooms using tarps, shopping carts, mattresses, and scavenged furniture. It is very dangerous though. When it rains, water can rush through the tunnels without warning. And those that can't escape in time, well, it doesn't end well. Bodies have been found in these tunnels after storms, washed miles from where the water entered. There's a stretch of road near Inunaki Tunnel in Fukuoka, Japan that most people avoid at night. Above it, traffic moves as normal. Below it, decades of decay and abandonment hide something a lot more sinister. Urban explorers have found bones, clothing, and personal items sitting in the weeds and under concrete ledges beneath the bridges that run alongside the tunnel. In the early 2000s, volunteers combing the area came across bones. Some were later identified through police DNA records as belonging to missing persons. Some of the remains were decades old, others more recent. Next up is a story from Reddit, which goes as follows. So this happened yesterday, and I'm still kind of freaked out. I was walking my dog along the small creek that runs through our town. It sits right under an old concrete bridge near a park. I stopped to tie my dog's leash to a railing for a sec and noticed something sticking out from under the bridge. First, I thought it was just a backpack someone left. When I got closer, I realized it was a bunch of small dolls, all dirty and broken, arranged in a circle on the ground. Some had their eyes scratched out. A few had weird little messages written on them in marker, like "don't look, stay away," stuff like that. I froze for a second, thinking maybe some kids were messing around, but there was no one around. And then I noticed footprints leading into the water right under the bridge, like someone had been wading around barefoot. It didn't make sense. The creek is icy cold this time of year. I didn't touch anything. I just left and walked home. But the whole time I felt like someone or something was watching me from the shadows under the bridge. I'm definitely not going back there alone. And we're gonna finish this one off with a possible Sasquatch sighting that happened this past summer. This case comes straight from the BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. It was August 4th, 2025, a clear summer morning in Grady County, Oklahoma. Around 8:15 a.m., Jeff Powers was doing what he'd done almost every weekday for the past 3 years, driving north on Highway 4 bridge over the Canadian River on his way to work. Every time he crossed that bridge, he'd glance up or down the river. Sometimes he'd spot deer along the banks. This time, though, he saw a lot more than a deer. Down in the river, Jeff saw a huge black figure moving through the water, walking upright on two legs. The thing was wading across the river, heading north toward the bank, and what really caught Jeff's eye first was the wake. The water behind it was clearly disturbed, like something big was pushing through at a steady pace. The water came up to about knee level on the figure, and Jeff said the torso alone looked wider than a 50-gallon drum. It didn't have a hunched posture like a bear, but it had nearly jet black fur. It looked slicked down though, like it had just come up from the river moments before. Jeff crossed the bridge, his brain scrambling to make sense of what he'd just seen. He immediately turned around and looped back to look again, but by then the figure was gone. And that has been the video for today. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, next time.